When you think of Las Vegas, you think of gambling or the more refined gaming, as well as entertainment and dining. Well, my guest has been in all those worlds for a long time, and he backs up his knowledge and opinions with a dedication to hard work and research. He's Anthony Curtis, professional gambler, author, and publisher. He's CEO of Huntington Press, established in 1983, and the Las Vegas Advisor, a Las Vegas consumer newsletter. And for everything about Las Vegas Advisor, go to lasvegasadvisor.com, and you can follow them on YouTube as well as Facebook and X. And if you have an idea for a gambling book or you want to look at a great inventory, go to huntingtonpress.com. And Anthony, welcome back to the show.
It's good to see you, Ira. I mean, when did I meet you? In the 80s? Right?
In the 80s, early 80s, we're dating ourselves. We're not dating each other, but we're dating each other in the sense of, yes, I think it was the early 80s at least. So we go back a long way.
You were at the trial.
Yeah. And what's amazing to me too about, I mentioned this before because you've been on the show, and I thought it was sooner than it was as many years before, and you've been on many times over the decades. But what always amazed me about you or impressed me about you is a better term, is that you always were a hard worker. And not that I'm lazy, but you always seem to be working 24/7, and you're always coming up with new stuff. And I just wanted to share that with our audience, that if you know Anthony Curtis at all, you read any of his material, if you subscribe to Las Vegas Advisor, or you go to Huntington Press, look at all the books. I mean, he's always working.
Well, you know what the thing is, Ira, it's like this, I decided to get into the gambling business, originally as a player.
Right.
And then, publishing. And it is such a vast and ever-changing business that there's just no choice. I mean, the minute you step back and say, I'm going to take a vacation or I'm not going to pay attention, somebody asks you a question of something you haven't seen or heard about or looked into or whatever. So it's just a matter of trying to stay on top of it. And it's ferocious. I mean, the changes are just absurd. And there's so many different places. And they all kind of, in a way, act in unison on the Strip, and the downtown places act the same, but not really. Everyone's trying to one up the other, and then there's a new deal here, and somebody has a new policy there. And so that's what it's all about. It's just trying to stay on top of the wave, without letting it come over the top of you.
Does the technology today help you more than it did 10, 20 years ago? Does it make it easier for you to collate and organize and keep on top of all these things?
It certainly does, but, it's a double-edged sword. Because it opens up, you learn about more things. There's information everywhere. And you go, wow, how many rabbit holes do I have to go down here, to get the answer on this? And, not only that, but when something goes down, we look back at the MGM hack. And when something goes down, oh my goodness, it's disastrous. So, technology is great. Would I, if I had the choice, would I say I don't want it? No. Give me more, give me more. Even this AI crap, as bad as this could potentially be, there's more good than bad. So, I would say yes, but it just, it makes the job easier and tougher at the same time.
Do you feel that because you're a dedicated work ethic, do you feel that you have enough time for just your own personal space or family or things you want to do for pleasure? Or do you get a chance to get a break? Because all I know of, every time I see you, you're always working, always working.
No, I never go on vacation. I never go anywhere. I never leave Vegas. My fun time, my downtime is going out and doing things that also help my business. Like I will go to many, many bars and casinos in the course of a week, just to have some fun, to sit down, have a beer, play some video poker, get the beer for free. Mathematically, that's a very strong play, but also what's happening. And that's become my fun. And I don't vacation. Sometimes I get to Henderson. That's about it, man.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's a major travel for you. Yeah. So, in fact, you don't leave your seat. You're in your office right now, and you're just there. You have a cot next to you, I'm sure, and you take a little nap once in a while. I'm speculating, but I could see it happening. For those viewers and listeners who may not be aware of Las Vegas Advisor, it's an interesting publication because it's a newsletter, it's a subscription-based model, and I forget what year you started it, but it's had a major impact on how things are done in Las Vegas, including the coupon aspects of it. So can you explain for people who may not even be aware of Las Vegas Advisor what that entails? And then we'll talk also about your YouTube channel, which again, talking about technology, it's perfect for you as a platform.
Yeah, well, when I first moved to Vegas, my dad was a university professor, and I was I had gotten a scholarship to UCLA. I transferred from Duke to UCLA. I was a wrestler, collegiate wrestler in both of those places, and I was on scholarships. And when I turned 21, I dropped out. I had moved to UCLA. I was practicing with the team there, but I hadn't officially enrolled. And I turned 21 and I decided to drop right out and come to Vegas. And my dad wasn't too happy with it, being a university professor himself at various places. And I explained to him that, I felt that the time was right to do this and that there were ancillary opportunities, among them being publishing at some point, which he was down with. He was totally down with. He goes, that sounds right. So I came out here and for a few years, I got here in 79. And for a few years, I tried to make a living gambling and eked out a living, there, but eked out was about it. And decided to go early to, plan B, which was publishing. So in 1984, late 84, I published the first issue of The Advisor. And this was like before desktop technology and everything. And it was just I kind of just put it together with whatever means I could. And then all of a sudden, a couple of years later, everything began to take off with the gambling. And I met a bunch of other guys and we formed a team. And, all this stuff that you've seen in the movie 21 or the book Bringing Down the House, I played on a blackjack team that was every bit as potent as those guys from MIT. In fact, I knew all of them and everything. So the publishing kind of went on hiatus for a while. And I just barely kept my fingers in it and published a little tip sheet about Vegas, top 10 values and things that were happening. And then in the 90s, I got serious about it because I began to see, after going through the whole 80s and playing a lot in the casino and doing very well, and all of us, our team winning a lot of money, the writing was on the wall that it wasn't going to last forever. So I began to, transition, make that turn, that pivot into publishing more. And then in the mid 90s, I really got into it and we started publishing books. We've now published over 130 books, most of them on gambling strategy, some mob, some sex like brothel stuff and things like that. Everything that has to do with sin and vice in Vegas, I guess you would say.
Right. Yeah, there's some interesting. I was looking at some of your authors the other day, and some of them are no longer with us, unfortunately, but it's an interesting group of writers that have written for you and had these books done over the decades. The other part about Las Vegas Advisor, you decided to make it a subscription-based model. And can you explain why that decision was made as opposed to just distributing it?
Well, we were always subscription-based in terms of the newsletter. The newsletter always came with our, what we call member rewards book, which is literally, we've built this over the years. It is the best coupon incentive package to Vegas in the world. There's nothing like it. And we work with all of the major casinos except for the big guys who don't like us and don't like their customers much. That would be MGM and Caesars, and throw Station in there too. But just about everybody else we are working with in some capacity. And it's a very good deal for our subscribers who come out here and get the member rewards book and are able to use that for discounts on food and dining and actually even rooms. Some of these, we've got a couple coupons that they forgive the resort fee for the customer. I mean, these are things that people love, right?
Well, that's a major thing if you can forgive the resort fee, because that's an annoying fee.
We've got two casinos that are doing that right now, Downtown Grand and the Rio. That's so when our customers go and they book there, they use the coupon and their resort fee is waived. So we've got some, the member rewards book is a powerhouse, and we don't charge the casinos for this, and it brings them tremendous customers because our people are all gamblers. They're all a member of a gambling club, right? They come in, they play. We know that because they've been tracked and we see it. But we also had the website, LasVegasAdvisor.com, which was all free to everybody, all kinds of information. I mean, everything from parking fees to resort fees everywhere to, all the prices of buffets updated. And we had hundreds of thousands of people coming there and we couldn't monetize it. It just made no sense that we were giving this information away for free. Didn't even feel it was fair to our own subscribers who were paying us $50 a year to get the newsletter and the coupon book. And we said, phooey on it. We're going to make this paywall and subscription based. We started this about a year and a half ago. Never had a second thought about doing it. Really glad we did. It's $3 a month. So that's 10 cents a day. Right. And we've got a lot of people who don't go. They go just a $3 a month thing to be able to look at the stuff on the website. We have the question of the day that we've done for something like 9,000 days in a row. We answer a question in depth, just a lot of good information there. And we just said, we can't give it away because we can't monetize it. So, you know, thankfully, a lot of people said, yep, I'll pay $3 a month. And that's why it's there. Now, we do have things on the website that are still free. Like you can link to our YouTube channel and watch the latest YouTube. We work with syndicating certain articles from places. Recently, 888, we're looking at doing something with casino.org, and they pay us to do that. So those things are free. And it's really strong, good gambling information that we vet. You know, we absolutely vet everything that's put up there, and I comment on it. If I don't agree with something, I say why. And it's a good website for $3 a month.
How do you collate and organize and get all this information without having an almost incredibly large staff? Because there's so much information that you have to update, organize, collate, as I mentioned. It's a lot of stuff, and it's in all different areas. We're talking gaming, we're talking about dining, we're talking about deals, we're talking about coupons, we're talking about just everything that's going on. How do you work that so that
Well,
you're able to do that with a small staff?
Well, it's the technology that you talked about. You know, I mean, the good part of the technology is you can put things into compartments on the computer, you know, as they come in. And we learned, you know, at our zenith, we had 19 employees here. And that's when we were, you know, thinking we were going to be able to monetize the website with information. And we were phone banging like crazy, you know, just phone banging downstairs, making calls up to date. And we realized first during the recession, you know, when the recession hit back in, you know, 07, 08, everybody had to cut back. And we found that we were doing as much with fewer people, and that there was just a lot of sluff there. There was a lot of sluff we didn't need. And we learned how to work really well with a smaller staff, but a great staff, you know, people
Yeah.
who are very dedicated, who work hard, who know how to keep their stuff in order, you know, how to, you know, to be resourceful and have their things where they're easily, you know, obtained and put up on the website. So it's just about a matter of, you know, you hear the cliche, working smarter, and that's what we got to.
Yeah. How did COVID affect your operations for that period of time?
It was difficult, like with everybody else. I mean, everything contracted, you know, in terms of sales and things like that, everything contracted. And you know, that was another part of us downsizing in terms of finding ways to be more efficient. And you know, what COVID did more than anything else is COVID showed us how to get rid of unneeded expenses that were never resumed. You know, so when that stopped and sales went back to normal, you know, with both of our books in the newsletter and what we did with the pay website, we didn't have that overhead that we had before. So it ended up being, you know, kind of a good thing for us. I hate to say it, but aside from all the negatives of COVID, it ended up being a good thing in that area.
I think a lot of people experience that they were able to do some creative workarounds, especially when you're stuck. You can't go into the office. You have to work remotely in many cases with less staff, and you just make it work. And then you realize, well, I don't need to go back to the original model. I can now use this model.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that
Yeah.
works so well. What was your favorite compliment that somebody gave you about Las Vegas Advisor and what you do? Do you have one
Uh,
or two anecdotes about people that have maybe you didn't even know them, but they wrote you or they called you and or they saw you in person as you're working your way around town and they found out it was Anthony Curtis? Is there something that was real meaningful to you that someone said to you that make
yeah.
everything worthwhile in a way?
Yeah. Two things. One is how we were able to educate people. You know, they'll write to us and tell us how we've educated them in two areas. One is if they wanted to gamble better. You know, some people wanted to literally gamble for profit, which is doable. It was doable when I came to Vegas in '79, and it's doable today. It will be doable in the future. So we're always extremely honest, and we're extremely good about what we put up in gambling. There's so many charlatans out there. There's so much bad information. But as I said, I played for a decade and a half with one of the most efficient money-making gambling machines in the world. And I learned how to do it from guys who are older than me and better than me and taught me. And then over the years, I passed them. And you know, we're able to can that information, and we're able to distribute it and explain it in a good way. And the other is people with their vacations, where they literally go, "Look, I'm not a pro gambler. I don't want to be, but you've made my vacation so much better. And you know, you were honest about this, and you were honest about that, and we found these things to be true. And man, I'll tell you, that makes you feel good. And
Yeah.
it seems like it big deal, but no, it makes you feel good when somebody literally says, "You really helped me." And I think we do a lot of that here. You know,
Do
that's the
you,
other thing. We're not beholden to the casinos. You know, it's like they don't pay us money to be in the member rewards book. If they don't want to be in the book, we go to another casino. They don't pay us for advertising. We don't take advertising on the site, except for Google ads and things like that, which we make a pittance from. We hardly make anything. So we are not beholden to the casinos. And that's why our media trajectory was so quick and fast and has remained high. You know, I was just on 60 Minutes a month ago. And I mean, you know, when 60 Minutes comes calling, you know, you're doing something right. You know, that's about the biggest media you can find. And people like that come to us because we can tell it like it is. We're not beholden to the casinos. We're not beholden to the Convention and Visitors Authority. We're beholden to the customer, and we tell it like it is.
and over the decades, you've been on national television a lot. I remember seeing you being interviewed on different programs over the years. And it's because of that reputation, as you say, you're not beholden to the powers that be. What is your general relationship with casinos? Clearly, you mentioned earlier that the two biggest ones are not necessarily wanting to be in the coupon book, but in general, after all this time, you being in business, is there a tacit acknowledgement of your contributions, or is it more dealing with you at arm's length, or they don't care, or there's some hostility, or is it a mix?
Those who have been around, I would say that there's now even if reluctant, there's a reluctant respect for what we've done, because it's always been a little bit of love-hate. You know,
Yeah.
they're like, okay, so you're educating people how to beat us. And I'm like, yeah, but the reality is most people aren't going to do what we tell them to do. I mean, in a way, we're Pied Pipering them right into your lair, and they're coming in, and you're going to get the money. And some have come to understand that. The biggest challenge now, the biggest frustration is all the young kids who are coming out of, you know, marketing classes in college, right out of UNLV, who don't know who we are. And somebody leaves and we have to try to deal with some new kid who frankly, doesn't know shit. And I mean, we have to try to explain to them, and they poo-poo us. You know, there's not there's nothing worse than a 24-year-old man or woman telling you to bug off, you know, when they know what they're talking about. But
It is amazing because when you think you've been doing this for all these decades, and now you have to educate a new generation who maybe not even open-minded to what you are about, but they just think they know it all.
well, Ira, you know, this will sound so self-serving, but I mean, I took money from you guys for years. You know, I'm in the Blackjack Hall of Fame. There's only 30 of us, and I was voted into that. I know more about gambling than you do. I'm sorry, but I do. And, you know, and I try to do it in a way that won't hurt them. We look after our people. I've had some people come to me and go, wow, I want to work with LVA, and here's the deal we want to do. And I go, you cannot do that. I go, you will be destroyed. You will be attacked from all angles by all the people you don't want in your casino. So we work with them to make sure that the offers are good for everybody. But when we get these young kids who think they know it all because they got a B+ in marketing, it's just like, oh boy, you know, here we go again with that crap.
You know, I was thinking, because you mentioned that, have you ever thought about, and maybe you've done it, do some guest lecturing at UNLV and other places where these people are coming from so they get a sense of what the reality is in gambling?
I've done it. I've done it. I've done it many times, and I got to say the result has always been very, very good. You know, I mean, I stick it right in their face about what they're right about and what they're wrong about, and it's interesting how receptive these kids are, and they listen. The ones that aren't are the ones that never heard someone from my world talk to them. You
Right.
know, for a long time, it's funny that we don't work with Caesars, because for a long time there was something before Caesars was Caesars. They were Harrah's. And there was something called the Harrah's Institute, which Dennis Conrad put together. I know you know who Dennis Conrad is.
Mhm.
And the Harrah's Institute brought all of their executives who were coming up through the system into a 3-week seminar thing where I was part of putting it together with Dennis. And we brought in some of the meanest renegades in the gambling world, you know, guys who were out there actually playing for a living, to explain what was going on, to explain how we got it over on the casinos, and other people from other areas too, you know, from the banking sectors and all of that. It was an unbelievable thing. And those people, to this day, I still hear from some of them who say, boy, I went through your class 25 years ago, and it was the greatest thing I ever did. So if you can get to them, it's fine. But if they don't hear this kind of stuff, all they hear is what do they read out of a book and what their instructor tells them, who may or may not know what they're talking about either. And then dealing with them in the real world is a real hassle.
Which means, therefore, you should become a professor and teach at least one class every semester.
I ain't doing it, man. I ain't doing it. Sound like really sour grapes, but it's not. It's just I'm just telling you some of the challenges that are out
Sure.
there. It's just you kind of can snip it out right away. You just go, look, I'll tell you what, I'll call you back in a couple of years.
I want to get back to the coupon book and then let's talk about your YouTube channel. But in the coupon book, okay, I'm an old soul, so will we ever see the shrimp cocktail come back in any kind of major way at a good value?
It's a little bit out there sort of right now. I mean, you can get a $2 shrimp cocktail. That's lots of fun. These are the kinds of things that, we look for. It's lots of fun. About 3 or 4 months ago, went to a retro stance where they've got old time machines with, like not the crazy slot machines that you see now, but the kind of machines like the red, white, and blues and the 777s and all of that. Another thing they did is they went to a $2 menu at the bar. So they got $2 beers, $2 hot dogs, $2 shrimp cocktail. I think it's working for them. I think it's a good thing. Another one, South Point. Now, interestingly, South Point is a place that doesn't like us. They don't like us for a different reason, something that went on between me and the guy who runs it there a long, long time ago. But, we tell it like it is. When there's something good, they've got a late night shrimp cocktail for, I believe it's $2.50, which is another decent one. Now, the 99 center, I don't think we're going to see that. The last we saw that was for Fremont. They sold it at the Lanai Express Bar, and they recently put that up to $1.99. So, that's as close as you're going to get to it.
Yeah,
And
the Golden Gate was the originator of the 99-cent shrimp cocktail.
yeah, you know what? Actually, now that I think about it, I think they went to $2.99 at Fremont. So,
Yeah.
these things creep, they go up and up and up. No, we're not going to see it again. Are we going to see the buffets again like we ever saw, like we did in the past? No, we're not going to see that again. There's 13 buffets out there right now. 13, that's it, not counting the ones that we call spot buffets that show up now and again, like the House of Blues, or in a place that is not a casino. You'll find this at like Mackay, these places that are like a sushi place that will have a buffet. But there's 13 in the casinos.
I haven't talked to you about this, but it's been bugging me lately. You go to a high-end resort casino, and I'm of the opinion that the customers don't deserve the high-end resort casino based on what I see as customers in those high-end resort casinos. And what I mean by that is I'm seeing the El Cortez customer in the Bellagio or in the Venetian or in Resorts World, et cetera. It just doesn't seem to match up with the demographics. Do you see that as well, or is it just my eyesight that's catching that?
I think it's, book by its cover thing, that you look at people and it's just not like the old days where people who had money dressed like they had money, and you kind of look at people and we've got, these trust fund babies coming up and, they're walking around in their flip-flops and t-shirts and all of that, but they got money, mommy and daddy's money. So they can, I think in the high-end joints, if they're in there, unless they're slumming it just to look around, I think they can pay their way. So I think the price differentiates there. These high-end joints, you take a look at like Wynn or Encore. Boy, these guys know how to do it right. If you were to ask me what is the greatest high-end casino in Vegas, I'd say Wynn Encore without question. Maybe Venetian Palazzo is in the ballpark, but nobody does it quite like Wynn Encore, and you pay for it. So I don't think that you're seeing people that are in there, staying there, that don't belong there. But I think it's just sort of like the social mores of today, the way people are, the way they dress, the way they look, they just don't look like they belong sometimes.
Well, it's more the issue of, I guess, the way they dress. Here you have this a beautiful casino that's been built for you with billions of dollars, and you come in and you look like a schlub, and you might as well just go to a low-end casino, enjoy yourself there. Why go into that? And it just doesn't, to me, it doesn't match. But I understand what you're saying. It may just be it has been a sign of the times for what, the last 10 years or more at this point.
Yeah, people don't, people don't care. I mean,
Yeah.
they don't want to be bothered. They want to be comfortable.
I think what sealed it for me was about 15 years ago when I saw people bringing in coolers to Caesar's Palace. And I thought, okay, things have changed.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about your YouTube channels. How long has that been going on? And you've got good numbers for it too.
Yeah, amazingly, it's been going on 3 years now, and we started during COVID, and we just did some COVID updates with me. I had a guy. I do it with a guy named Andrew Hunt, who comes from LA and from the showbiz area, and he handles the technical part of it. I'm the expertise part of it, with the Las Vegas advisor type coverage. We talk about gambling a lot. We have a jackpot of the week every week, and we talk about the game that person was playing. So that person that just hit for 10,000 was playing a real awful game, but who cares, right? They hit for 10,000, but I'll explain, this game's not good because of this and that. This is the casino hold. We started with just me. And as you know, from knowing me forever, if it's just me, it's going to be boring. It's just going to be boring. So we put it together, and it was Andrew and I together. And that's when it started to click. And we quickly went to about 10,000 subscribers. And then we kind of snaked our way up to about 15, 16,000 right now. We get anywhere from 10 to 20,000, 10 to 25,000 views, which is not, that's not pedestrian, but it's definitely not in the rarefied air of, the great YouTubers. So we're going to go to the next step. We do it at least once a week. Every third Friday of the month, we do what we call Beer Friday, and it's a live stream. And we literally get drunk on screen. So we start drinking beers, and we get drunk within an hour. We answer questions, and we're just trying to grow it that way. The next step is going to be, we're building out a studio in my office, and it's going to be a slicker studio with better equipment, and we're going to start having regular guests, and we're going to see if we can take it to the next level. We shall see. But we can't compete with these, the influencers now. These influencers, another group that they really know what they're doing in business, but because they make their money off of YouTube, but they don't know what they're talking about when they're talking about the games 9 times out of 10.
Right.
But that's not what the world wants. The world wants to be entertained. So we'll keep giving good information and mildly entertaining, and the others will give bad information and entertain like crazy, and they'll make all the money, and we'll just keep.
Before I let you go, we have about a minute. Future of Las Vegas, are you pessimistic, optimistic, cautiously pessimistic, or in between?
I'm optimistic about Vegas. It doesn't matter what, the gouge is the gouge. And, the gouge has been taking precedence for a long time. And, I'm going to say it like it is. That's Caesars, that's MGM, that's Station Casino, and that's, to a degree, that's Boyd. The rest of them are still competing like they used to. And they're going to bring these guys back to earth a little bit here and there as customers, vote with their feet. Too much competition in Vegas and too many good ideas and smart people for it not to continue to be strong. And I am very optimistic about Vegas going forward.
Are you surprised at how much we've grown and changed over the decades?
Not really. I'm not surprised. I hate seeing some of the change when you get rid of things. I'll tell you what I hate seeing. I hate seeing the local bars go away and get taken over by Dottie's and Lola's and, all of those. But, that's the way it is. That's the reality. Yeah. And that's economics. And, the dollar is king, and economics is going to take precedence all the time.
Well, that's a great way to leave it. My guest has been Anthony Curtis, CEO of Huntington Press and the Las Vegas Advisor, a Las Vegas consumer newsletter. For everything about Las Vegas Advisor, go to lasvegasadvisor.com, and you can follow them on YouTube as well as Facebook and X. And for some great books on gambling in Las Vegas, go to huntingtonpress.com. And Anthony, thanks again for being on the show.
I will say this, Ira, the one place we did ascend to the top is we are now pretty much recognized as the top publishers of how-to gambling books in the world. So yeah, if you want to learn how to play a game, come to Las Vegas Advisor, check out our store, which is not paywall. You can go to the store for free.
Fair enough. See you next time.